Good evening, good afternoon. I understand everybody is here because it's going to be a great party after this, so we won't hold you up. Thank BW Hotelier for this great opportunity for us to be here and to hopefully inspire everybody and share some insight. We have great representation from architects, interior designer, and ownership as well. Chalet Group is actually one of our biggest owner with the most keys in India. So we're very happy to have Rashna here. So let's just get started. I don't want to hold things up. It's about 40 minutes, so it's very brief and compact. And I just want to open up with, frankly, a simple question. And that is for each of the panelists to discuss what is the impact of technology and innovation to hotel business, and where do we all see opportunities and solutions for our business. So I'll just get started. I'd like to start with an owner. So Rashna, sorry to put you on the spot right off the bat, but sure. Can you share with us what is your feeling about technology innovations relative to development and investment? And also, if you could just share with us, what are the three biggest challenges, perhaps, in how you see development hotels? How can we help you? And also, what are perhaps the three wish lists of things that you hope designers and operators could do differently, better, worse, perhaps? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be a part and share this room with all the honorable dignitaries and representing Chalet. Your question regarding the technology and innovation, my view on that is the human race has always adopted, invented, or even adapted to technology by survival or need basis. It's different for different countries. Every nation has their limitations and their strengths. And we tend to find those solutions over a period of time, catering to these issues and adapt to them. Your question about what are the three wish lists or the responsibilities a developer really needs to cater. Just to stating an analogy, hospitality is like a performing stage. The front areas are really where the guest has to be comfortable, delightful, and his stay has to be memorable. His room is his vanity, where everything has to be perfect. And of course, the back of the house is the heart and the backbone, where everything has to be perfect. All of this to bring and succeed and keep it right. With all the challenges, I think the biggest challenge that we face as a hotelier is keeping up with the ever-changing demands and expectations of this well-exposed traveler. Keeping up to that in today's time also gives us an opportunity, because you can actually, at the tip of your finger on the phone, choose a variety of properties. So that push, in fact, is an opportunity for each developer to excel and to develop. I think the third question was the wish list of the do's and the don'ts. At Chalet, we've collaborated with global and overseas consultants. We've actually partnered with you for 7 or more of our properties. And have this and strategized our mixed-use development, which we have fairly been successful. So honestly, it's in my opinion, it's not about what the operator or the designer should do or not do. In fact, we are a team. And I would take the opportunity of this platform where I would highlight that it's more important to then work around a circle model where the responsiveness, assurance of tangible delivery comes in time from these set of consultants. The three most important things I would put them in a bucket would be, of course, while planning, while execution, and for operating. You fix your design brief at the earliest you can. Rope in your right team. It's like the IPL team. You choose your team. You rope in all your consultants. And making that decision, involving them prior to, in fact, implementing your work is the key to any successful project.
Totally agree. Thank you so much. So now let's go to Vandana. So from an architect point of view, technology, innovation, how do you see that impacting your practice? And perhaps if you could share, what do you think would be the future of technology innovation in hotel design and our business to improve owners' speed to market, ROI, and also to make operators, Reema and my job, a little easier?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad that I'm part of a session, especially led by Michael. It's very exciting for me. And the topic is not something that was very close to my heart, because as Indians, we're always holding back on technology, I feel. But one of the first things I checked online when this topic came up was, let me see how many internet users in the world today. And I was shocked by the number. There are 5 billion internet users. So as designers, what do we really do when we are creating a product, be it a hotel or be it any other genre of a building? We are basically defining the DNA of that space. So it always starts with defining what are the key components of the space, which are going to multiply to create that entire building or that entire space. So if I was to go back in time to when I studied architecture, our architectural influences were very limited to our geographical location. And today with 5 billion users on the internet, with all of us being a part of this and being on social media, so there are about 4.5 billion who are using social media. Our environment of influence has expanded drastically. So I'm not just limited to my geographical location. I am now influenced by every single person I'm interacting with, not that much in the physical space, but perhaps more on the virtual space. So for me as a designer, my influence of technology starts pretty much at the concept stage when I'm defining the DNA of a product that I'm going to design for a hotel. And so much, and that's also important because my traveler, again, is not limited to this geographical location anymore. He's coming in with all sorts of expectations. He's traveled the world. He's been on social media himself. He now knows that, okay, if I'm going into this market to say, for example, for leisure, I can, I don't have just this hotel to go to. I can look at so many more and then make an informed decision. So the internet is, it works both ways. It defines and influences what I do as a designer, what my team does as a design practice, and it also empowers the guests to make an informed choice. So for me, that is the biggest influence, that while I am deciding what to do for this particular project, I am influenced tremendously by what I'm seeing or what I'm interacting with, or my conversations online, what we're posting. There's so much data being pushed towards you through AI, which is being curated for you. So that I feel is the biggest influence. But besides that, of course, there are technological advances in terms of the kind of softwares we're using. So our age-old softwares have been AutoCAD and 3D Max. And now we're making a conscious effort to move towards BIM, which is integrated modeling. So what that does, for those who might not know, is that it's able to create a space for us as designers where we are able to, work on things together, where the number of overlaps happen simultaneously. They happen because of the intelligence built into the system. So there is lesser margin for error and there is lesser rework. So how does that help a client? It helps us pace us faster on a project. It reduces the amount of errors. It's able to generate budgets and costs for a project in a more efficient manner. It's able to bring together consultants. So our MEP, our lighting consultants, all of us can work together on a project and collaborate better and achieve a much better result. So yes, BIM. And then, of course, the ultimate is metaverse, which, I'm only reading and trying to figure out what that means. What I hear today is that you could perhaps design a hotel on the metaverse universe. And what would that do for a client? He'll probably be able to walk through his entire hotel, feel, like basically become an, what the metaverse basically does is that everyone who's, on the global, whoever logs into the metaverse will then become like an avatar in that space. And each person will have the ability to walk freely into any universe that's been created there. So if, whatever projects we're working on can be sort of built as a virtual reality model, the advantage to our owners would be that they'll be able to see what's going to come up, exactly how it will be built from, say, a structural standpoint, from how the light is going to enter into the property, how well lit it will be, how my building is going to, interact with the daylight, how my spatial volumes feel. Perhaps, there will be ways to even understand how tactile my surfaces would feel. Because what virtual reality does is it provides you a better depth of space than what a rendered model does. The potential of technology is just tremendous. But if I was to also talk about the challenges, where we are struggling with, perhaps in India more than any other country, is that all this costs so much to be able to train your teams, to be able to motivate them to sort of migrate to another platform. There's just so much that's going on in my mind, and perhaps come back to this question. So I hope I answered some of them.
No, this is fantastic, Vandana. It's exactly the kind of direction that we want to explore as operator, which brings a great question for Reema, our competitor. What Vandana said, to me, it's all coming and it's actually already here in many ways. For you as an operator, what's your thought about what Vandana just said about AI, building information modeling, BIM as a future tool, and how that could apply to operators? What is your thought?
So technology is an integral part of hotel design and innovation. We've been talking about creating lobby spaces which can foster various elements like, having keyless check-in, creating more like a living room kind of a space. With the use of technology, now we are able to do all of that. And in Accor, we have a very focused approach to technology and innovation. So we have segmented technology in 3 buckets to have a focused approach and to drive the right results. So like we have Accor Tech, which is supported by the infrastructure, like when we have a hotel providing the right infrastructure, that goes under Accor Tech. Then we have Digital Factory, because the world is changing so fast. Digital Factory is basically coming out with more personalized kind of experience and creating more unified kind of experience through this digital platform. And the third is DH, which is always keep inventing, innovating, looking at what are the future trends and what is the need of today's and tomorrow travelers. So the biggest challenge as a hotel operator is to envision those changes, like, fast moving things which are keep coming, and implementing them as part of your brand design. We have almost close to 50 plus brands. So it comes with a cost. Every time changing the design direction, making it distinct to incorporate the latest trend in terms of technology might not be every time viable for our investors, our partners, our guests. So definitely we just keep a very holistic approach, think through it. And, when we have technology and innovation, we try to achieve a balance in which human elements, technology, innovation is achieved, keeping in mind economical viability of the hotel.
Abhishek, you as HBA, very big interior design company worldwide, and from your point of view, now you heard it from the owner, you heard it from operator, you'll hear it from me a little later, and the architect, Vandana, what is your take on innovation and technology in your discipline?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Michael, and thank you for the opportunity. I feel that, like you pointed out, we are slightly bigger than most other design firms, meaning that we have a spread out footprint across many cities in the world. We have close to about 26 offices around all the global cities. And while we were most prepared than other firms to sort of tackle working during the pandemic, for example, where remote working was the reality, it was not a choice. And technology obviously enabled us to do this in a very productive and compassionate way without sort of putting our people or anybody else in harm's way. And but I still think like that part of technology has always been around, right? Communication is key to all of our businesses. And softwares like Zoom, Teams, Miro, etc., they have been around for some time and they have only improved and they will continue to improve. We've spoken earlier about augmented reality using Matterport, for example, to sort of create virtual environments which are much more interactive and easier for other people to sort of navigate through, make comments, etc. And then I think innovation is not just technology, right? I think what Rashna pointed out earlier is also very important. I think articulation of brief, having a holistic conversation with all these stakeholders, operators and owners included, to understand how can we create spaces which are interesting, which are a little bit more evolved, which have more value and meaning to them. This can come in terms of authenticity. This can come in terms of flexibility of time, flexibility of resources. And also what Reema pointed out earlier, you come into a lobby, it doesn't have to be a reception, it can be more like a living room, etc. Innovation is also there. But for me, particularly what I'm really interested, how are we able to make use of technology and try to, still give that sort of handmade feel where there's a bespoke and unique element to our designs, which then sort of constitutes the lux factor in any project of ours. So to give you an example, for example, we've tried to engage with young artists in some of our projects where that artist is then commissioned to do a digital artwork. And then that digital artwork can be manifested in many ways, right? It can come to life in many different ways. When we make, for example, when we design bespoke chandeliers or lighting installations, it starts with a sketch. And then those sketches are sort of picked up in a software like Rhino. Then we assign attributes like, in Grasshopper or something like that. And we can really sort of make it very malleable, very custom made. And when it comes to design, there's still a handmade factor because, somebody still needs to make it and the imperfections are there. And that's the part like really that I'm very interested in. And one could extend this approach to, be it how you do custom carpets. Whenever you touch a material, there's always an opportunity to customize it. And I think technology makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more accessible. You don't need to be an artisan yourself to understand what are the constraints and, you can still play around with it. that is the part which really excites me. And I'm hoping for us to sort of work in that direction.
Great, thank you so much. So let me touch on a little bit on what Marriott is doing. I feel after running Global Design Asia-Pacific for 25 years, there's a lot of insight from owners, from designers, and I feel, you know, we have huge responsibility because we have the volume and we have the economy of scale. So what Marriott is doing now is we are using BIM and we're we have created 7 of our select service brand in prototype, so, which means that it provides the owner basically a great learning, great early start, because if you think about a hotel, 65, 70% of the hotel is the guest room. So if we can get that off the table and have a prototype, but using BIM to make customization for each location so that they don't look exactly the same, that really helped the owner and designer to be able to take the time that we all have less and less of, all the money that we have less and less of because inflation and costs of rising in everything and shortage of labor. So owner can get the design for the guest room, get that out of the way, and for designer, for operator, and for owner to focus on what's important in a hotel. As we all know, it's about the public area. It's about the social zone. It's about the area that a guest will have that connection, right? Will have that emotional connection too. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some of the difficult, complex things, back of house planning. We're looking at that being automated as well, using artificial intelligence and deep learning to come up with programs that we're working on where you can review and produce back of house based on the different brand. And of course, with 30 brands that we have, make things even more necessary to automate it. So I feel that we're addressing some of those, got a long way to go, and getting owners and the design world and everybody aligned, I think is where this kind of discussion and conversation is all about. Because I believe in everything, there's a tipping point, and we're not at that tipping point yet. We need to keep pushing it. So once it tips over and everybody embrace what we're trying to do technology-wise, then I think it's gonna go forward. Because otherwise, like Vandana said, you know BIM is great, helps coordination, you know virtual reality is great, but nobody seemed to be jumping on the bandwagon, right? And so why not? And I think part of it is really just make sure everybody feels the importance in the impact and how there's a lot of money there. I think they were talking about something in the neighborhood of $13 trillion revenue for artificial intelligence in 2030. That's not that far away. So there's a lot of money to be made, but everybody needs to be on board. Everybody needs to get a certain amount of passion and, you know, willingness to embrace technology and innovation. Okay, let's move on. The next really, really important topic, and I'll again go around, and that's sustainability. What are we doing, each one of us, towards supporting sustainability so that we can reach zero carbon for the world? That's a dream, a great dream to have anyway. So Vandana, we'll start with you.
So I'll just start off with the most basic thing that we've done in the practice, which is we are almost entirely paperless today, and that's thanks to technology. So all the concepts are made on a tablet. They are, of course, emailed. The reviews happen online. But putting all of that aside, I think that's slightly insignificant in terms of what you can truly achieve. So we've just completed a very interesting project. It's actually a residential project, not a hotel project. It's for a very dear friend and a client, where we've actually implemented a lot of sustainable practices. So this one's a largish residence built on a hill where we haven't disturbed a single contour on the land. It's built without disturbing the land parcel. We haven't cut a single tree. We've integrated multiple construction technologies. So it has concrete as well as steel, which helped us achieve the product much faster. It was easier to construct with it because we were building in the hills and accessibility was an issue. We've tapped daylight beautifully, so much so it's built in a place where it gets really cold. So we've tapped daylight so well that we have fenestrations and skylights in the southwest. The daylight penetrates into the building for almost till about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. In the winters, it's fantastic because they don't really need to switch on the heating. In the summers, it's great because the sun shifts its angle. So, the house stays cool. We haven't cut trees, so the house is, literally shaded. There are planters on the periphery where planters are growing and they're drooping literally till the window sills. So what that does in the summers, it basically creates an artificial shading device. It's like an additional skin which sheds itself in the winters. So there's just so many sustainable things we've done. We're harvesting the water. So there's going to be ample water for them to use. And the beauty of all of it is that, you have beautiful views through the house. It's basically an inside-outside experience. It's integrating with the outside. So here is where we've literally piloted most of our, the sustainable things that we talk about. And of course, the little things like all the lights are, of course, LED, and there's energy saving. We have solar-powered skylights. The solar panels are coming up, so there's going to be generating electricity and pretty much providing to the grid. So yes, all of this is happening thanks to technology. And also, it's not just technology, it's also common sense. So I think technology and common sense have to go hand in hand, because if you put, you leave your common sense behind and you start implementing technology just for the sake of it, it's useless, it's pointless, it's just waste of money. So yes, so these are some of the things we are practicing, and we're trying to push in every project. In the larger projects, it becomes slightly more difficult because there are many more stakeholders, so a lot of people are involved. Decisions are that much more complex. And we're also doing many other things, like, we're working with our lighting partners to create tunable lights which are, on preset moods. So that helps, whenever there is excessive daylight, your lights dim automatically. They are more sensor-based. So these are some of the things that are, there in my mind right now. But yeah, and we're also, as a practice, trying to create a library of materials where we are literally going down to understanding where each material is coming from. Because what happens when you're doing a project and you're literally constrained on time is that you have to make a decision in split seconds. You might be very tuned in your mind on what looks good or bad, but sometimes the decision that you take could be bad for the environment. So we're trying to, as a practice, build a library of materials where we have studied the life cycle of the product, where we feel and we are assured that the material that goes into the project actually is going to make a significant impact. So having that library and having our team, sort of have access to that assures us as a practice that we are making the right choices for the environment, because in the end, all of us have to take that responsibility on us. It's not just for your clients, or it's not just for TRP, or not just to, have your next Insta Live. It's actually a very, very relevant topic today, because we understand climate change and we know the impact of it, and we're facing it and we're feeling it every day. So, for the future generations, we at our, at our unit level are trying to do a little bit of what we can do to help, make the right choice so that the products that we build and the legacy we leave behind can be something that we are proud of tomorrow.
Accor working on towards sustainability.
So at Accor, we strive to have a more sustainable future for our hospitality and our brands. And we are among 7% of hospitality company which have strategies around zero carbon footprint. And you will be very amazed to know that globally, 75% of travelers look for sustainability measure in hotels while doing the bookings. So all the more important for us to be a little more aware, conscious, and have measures around sustainability and embrace it. And we have a comprehensive approach to our sustainability measures. We have 4 strong pillars, which is as part of the Accor promise, and it goes with all of our brands. So we have, number 1 is the sustainability starts from our own people. We take care of our people. We give them opportunity to grow, give them healthy environment to foster and to have a very comfortable working environment. And they are the face and they deliver the experience. So that's why first pillar is like our people. Second is stay. And in stay, we have collaborated with various companies, agencies, and our own in-house team putting a lot of research to have sustainability measures, whether it's zero plastic waste, which is our promise by 2022. All our properties will be zero plastic waste. It will be totally eliminated. And eco-certified products and water and energy conservation. We have dashboards, we have systems through the technology where we are monitoring each and every property. It goes to the Paris, they also monitor. We look at each and every number. We have a full-fledged team who is driving this initiative along with the regional teams. And third pillar is eat, which is centered around F&B, because food wastage, having local produce and how we can leverage more on that while creating the F&B experience. That is also another part of incorporating sustainability in our properties. And fourth one is explore, like exploring the location, the property, the surroundings, and how we can inculcate the surroundings, the natural elements, the biophilic design, and eco-design, as part of the design strategies, as part of the guest experience.
Great, great. Thank you. Those are great initiatives. I know we're running short of time, but I have to ask, Rashna, from ownership point of view, frankly, many owners find the whole sustainability to be a great calling. However, usually means additional investment, and that long-term return sometimes is not seen as that important relative to short-term picture. Perhaps long-term is important, but short-term is a bit of a challenge for all of us. What is your point of view on that?
There are 3 things here. One is sustainable designs was anyways an integral part of India. So if we are learning, we are actually learning from the past and integrating that again into these 3 buckets, which I think we at Chalet are very focused on, is when we are preempting or when we are designing on board, we're doing very critical site and climate analysis. That is the first step. We might use technology to save all the energy, but if you have abused the land, like what Vandana was saying, and taken away the topsoil. So what I do see are conscious efforts now to first address the site intelligently, or I would say sensitively. Again, in terms of building, what we are trying to do is how we could help technology help us be sustainable. Yes, all our properties are currently gold rated, and we are analyzing how much it would take us as a cost on capex versus our operating returns when we move to the platinum. And the numbers currently don't seem good. But when we started a decade back, even these installations were expensive then. But today's developer is witnessing, like we've been monitoring and tracking, and with simple methods, there's a saving of 13% in water consumption in the last 6 years. That is investment and chalet's care for the Mother Earth. This consciousness and robustness, which we're inculcating, I'm sure will have different numbers and statistics in the next 10 years. Even small goals in operating, we have a digital card for all our properties. We've already taken these steps of bottled waters because we might have larger goals and commitments of like electrical vehicles 100% by 2025, some other goals on renewable energy, say by 2031. But these small steps, along with bigger goals, is I think where Chalet is currently looking very, very minutely and with focus.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. So Abhishek, from an ID point of view, obviously it's a little bit more focused and a different bandwidth related to sustainability. Anything you can share on how you guys view sustainability from interior design point of view?
Absolutely. It's really, really important. I think everybody has already highlighted the importance of, being aware of sustainability and building a sustainable future. For us, it starts from how, our designs start from the process of storytelling. And through that act itself, we try to celebrate stories which are local. We try to celebrate the local culture. And what we find is our designs are much more sustainable. They have a better performance when they emerge out of local craftsmanship and local materials. So as much as possible, we try to incorporate them in our designs to tell like local stories, which also then add to a much more meaningful and an authentic expression of our designs. The second thing which I would highlight is something related to what I said earlier. When we design spaces, we want to make sure that they're optimized for multiple use so that they're flexible in time usage and the resources as well. You only build that space once, but you can use it throughout the day. So for example, let's take a spa building in a resort, right? Not really required. I would argue that you can have like a beautiful clearing of a landscape, which can be used for, a treatment space, and which at night can be converted into a private dining, for example. So there's not much infrastructure. And this is where I think owners and operators and all of us need to come together and to find such opportunities where, we can find this optimization of spaces and resources, which then, celebrates the local surroundings, tells a story, and is of course sustainable.
Great, great. Thank you so much. That really addressed such a big issue, and it's very difficult to get it all done on sustainability front. However, I must say that we should be all very proud that from our perspective, India and India hotels, we have more sustainable, LEED certified platinum, gold, silver here in India for Marriott, more than anywhere else. And I think that is, something to say about the community's viewpoint and support on sustainability, but it's quite difficult. And so on the Marriott side, what we try to do is basically a couple of things. One is the first step is to come up with sustainability design guides so that the design world and also ownership can have a very clear understanding of what sustainability means for different level of hotel, because you cannot ask owner of a Fairfield to put in same level of sustainability as a St. Regis. So our Marriott Sustainability Design Guide basically provides different level of sustainability requirements, so that Fairfield has certain level, Courtyard would have a certain level, Marriott would have a higher level, and of course our luxury brands, St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton, and above, those would require the highest level of sustainability requirements. So I think that will help the design community and also ownership to have this document, right, as a good initial step. And secondly, along with the BIM prototype that we found, frankly, kind of by accident, but it all makes sense. Because BIM, you can input every requirement, right? You can actually include all of our sustainability requirements right in the BIM package. So that gave me even more encouragement that technology could actually really help us, because by building in sustainability requirement in our BIM package, it gets you there a lot closer because everything's already defined, right? So that's kind of where we are on sustainability. It's a huge, just like Reema said, we have the same requirement for, zero plastic by a certain year and, certain percentage of water saving, but that's all really good goal. But as far as the design community, I feel the first thing is to get a guideline that can give everybody a great starting point and reference point. Well, thank you. It says time's up. So could I open the floor for any question anybody may have? Or what do you think, Bhuvanesh? You tell me where. Okay, if there are questions.
So let me just repeat that question, if I understand it correctly.
Sorry. I mean, you mentioned that the usage of spaces, good use of the space. As you said, for an example, you can use an open space or a lawn as a spa for the treatment and also as a lounge in the evening. I mean, in the daytime, you can use it as a spa for the treatment, and then you can use it in the evenings, you can use it as a lounge or a dining space. So practically, how is it gonna possible to do that?
So, I mean, it's not a big leap of mine to sort of see this conversion happening. My response was emanating from the fact that I know from working through my experience, when you make a spa block, it's incredibly expensive. I think Rashna's
I totally understand that point of view.
And so in a resort property, when we have such beautiful surroundings and owners typically do spend a lot of money on the landscape. And we also love to go to resorts to sort of experience the natural beauty. I think that experience can be enhanced by having some of these functions in the outdoors with very minimal sort of operational requirements, which need to be actually covered.
So you mean to say there is no need of a structured thing or a separate spa?
I think that's a conversation I would love to have with more operators to see. Maybe not for all brands, but maybe for some which are more valuable. But I think, so where I was coming from, better yet, if you have a project, let me know. Why don't I show you?
Sure, definitely. I'll be in touch. Thank you. It was a good, sort of a, to think about. I was brainstorming on that rather, as soon as you mentioned that. So I was trying to just visualize how it's gonna possible. I might go for it because I have a resort. I'm the general manager of one of the resorts. So I was just wondering how I'm gonna, because I don't have a spa facility as yet. So I'm sort of looking forward to go for it. So that's how I got more focused. Thank you.
There you go, Abhishek.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for such a wonderful session. So my question to you related to innovation in terms of design. Since all of you are related to design, what are your expectations to the service industries, specifically related to HVAC, etc.? In terms of innovation, what do you expect?
I hope the air conditioning in the room isn't always so chilled, because I think everybody faces that problem. They couldn't sleep at night because it was too cold and the thermostat didn't work. So that would be my biggest issue.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, if you want great, efficient HVAC system, it's also related on investment, right? Return on investment. And so you cannot expect the same requirement for all hotel. So same thing. I think that's part of our, for example, our sustainability design guide with different levels, right? So that ownership can have a much better feel that they are doing the right thing and they're not overdoing it, which is going to hurt their ROI. Yeah, so to have more control of air conditioning, it means spending more. You need to have more sensors, more zoning, and all of that, which costs money. So, yeah.
Ma'am, I'm really sorry. Can we please take this during the evening cocktails? I'm really sorry. We are short on time. Thank you so much.